Welcome to the Chapter 1 breakdown. This will be a summary of Chaotic Universe Genesis Saga, Saga 1, Chapter 1, The Beginning. The setting is Menifee, California, modern times, also known as TUS Year 1. Most of the setting in this chapter will be at Paloma Valley High. TUS stands for the Universal Struggle and represents the timeline/period that Chaotic Universe and its sequels take place in. The main character is Chris Wilson. He is 17 years old and a high school student with a turbulent social life and complex friendships. Core narrative and key events. Chris Wilson's background and personal life. Moved to Menifee, California at the start of the millennium. This is pre-TUS, so before the story starts. Lives with his mother and siblings. Stepfather is a Marine, often abroad. Has a close friendship with Deron Givens, a seemingly social outcast whose mother was transferred to Alabama for a year, delaying their reunion until senior year. Experiences romantic struggles. His crush on Tanya, who dislikes him, and previously on Brandy, a former crush and a close friend, along with a rivalry with Nick the previous school year. Chris is also an anime/video game enthusiast, especially skilled in Gundam Battle Universe tournaments. Supernatural element introduced. Chris has a mysterious encounter with Uriah, a figure who reveals Chris has the ability to travel to the Andiron universe, a place where reality is nearly opposite. Chris is skeptical, but told to initiate astral projection and call out Andiron to unlock this ability. High school social dynamics and conflicts. Chris and Deron are a part of a group called the Wolf Pack, a dominant clique at school after another group disbanded. Rumors surface about a new underground group known as the Syndicate, identified by blue rags worn on the head and in their pockets, possibly prejudice and a growing threat. Tanya and her friends, including Angela and Gabriel, form a hostile faction opposing Chris and the Wolf Pack, often mocking and attacking Chris emotionally and physically. Tanya discovers Chris's anonymous love letter, marked with Chris's symbol X, and retaliates by publicly humiliating him. A physical altercation occurs between Anna, Chris's project partner and confidant, and Tanya's group, escalating tensions. The Gundam Tournament Arc. Chris is the reigning U.S. Gundam champion, competing in a tournament with Deron, Manny, and Hugh. They face off against Team Physalis, led by Daniel Ramsey, a skilled rival who is also Tanya's boyfriend, deepening Chris's personal conflicts. Chris's team wins initial rounds despite Daniel's dominance, setting up a rivalry for the finals. Relationships and character dynamics. Chris is close with Anna, a classmate who shares his interests and supports him emotionally. Brandy, a former crush and close friend. She is protective of Chris and skeptical of his crush on Tanya. Deron, he is Chris's steadfast friend and voice of reason, often cautioning him about distractions and upcoming threats. Tanya is antagonistic, but hints at deeper complexity by expressing a wish to become friends someday. The internal group dynamics suggests Chris's leadership in the Wolf Pack and a growing war brewing between the aforementioned school factions. Preparation for conflict. Wolfpack members receive non-lethal weapons from Black, a tech-savvy member, to prepare for an impending confrontation with Tanya's group. A planned operation to reclaim Chris's love letter from Tanya's faction is executed, involving strategic use of stun weapons and teamwork, resulting in the letter's retrieval and temporary victory. The letter is a symbol of ongoing rivalry and is slated to be destroyed to prevent further humiliation. Emerging threats. The Syndicate remains a mysterious, leaderless group, growing in influence and representing a possible future conflict. Tanya and her allies threaten revenge, escalating the stakes for Chris and his friends. Daniel Ramsey's arrival at school signals increasing tension toward the tournament finals and personal rivalries. The closing scene of Chapter 1. The chapter ends with Chris and Duran visiting Jennifer in the hospital, a member of Tanya's group injured following the conflict, indicating serious consequences of their school turf rivalry. Alright, now on to the character summary. I will list each character that was either mentioned by name or plays a part in the story so far. Their role and relation to the main character Chris Wilson, and their key traits and notes. So first is Chris himself. He's the protagonist, the leader of the wolf pack. He's a skilled gamer, has conflicted romantic interests, and is determined and bold. Duran, his best friend, wolf pack member, loyal, pragmatic, voice of reason. Tanya, antagonist, love interest, hostile towards Chris, has a boyfriend, Daniel Ramsey, complex personality. Anna, friend, project partner, supportive, anime enthusiast, potential love interest. Brandy, former crush, friend, protective, flirtatious, and skeptical of Tanya. Daniel Ramsey, rival, Tanya's boyfriend, skilled Gundam pilot, competitive. Black, tech/weapons specialist, develops non-lethal weapons for the wolf pack. Manny, Ray, Fabian, wolf pack members, providing a role of intelligence. They help strategize against rivals and enemies. Angela and Gabriel, Tanya's friends/enforcers, aggressive, antagonistic towards Chris and all Wolfpack members. And finally, Jennifer. She's a part of Tanya's group and was injured in the conflict to recover the letter that Chris wrote to Tanya. She is hospitalized and a possible future focal point in the story. Themes and insights. Friendship and loyalty. Chris and Duran's unbreakable bond anchors the story, emphasizing support amidst adversity. High school rivalries and turf wars. Social groups vie for dominance, reflecting typical adolescent power struggles, magnified by violence and technology. Romantic complications. Chris's crush on Tanya and interactions with Anna and Brandy highlight teenage emotional turbulence. Supernatural and sci-fi elements. The introduction of the Andiron universe and Chris's untapped abilities introduces a fantasy dimension to the otherwise realistic teen drama. Competitive spirit and identity. Chris's role as a Gundam champion parallels his real-life battles, symbolizing skill, reputation, and personal growth. Escalation toward conflict. The build-up to a schoolyard war involving weapons, alliances, and strategy reflects themes of justice, retaliation, and survival. Timeline of major events. We're going to go over two things here. It's the time frame and the event. First is September 2nd, pre-TUS, which is before Chaotic Universe. Chris moves to Menifee, California, starts his sophomore year. Sophomore year, Chris and Duran form an inseparable friendship. This is pre-TUS. Summer after sophomore year, Duran moves to Alabama temporarily. This is also pre-TUS. Junior year, Chris develops a crush on Brandy and later Tanya, feuds with Nick, also pre-Tuss. Senior year, the start of it. Duran returns. Chris plans to confess to Tanya via love letter. Valentine's Day Eve. This is the start of Tuss Year 1 and the Chaotic Universe canon, as well as the story. Chris writes the love letter to Tanya. Subsequent weeks. Tanya rejects Chris. Confrontations escalate. Early senior year. Formation of a new underground group known as the Syndicate Rumors. Gundam Tournament Night. Chris and his team wins the first round, meets their rival Daniel Ramsey. Following days. Tanya's group attacks. Wolfpack retaliates with stun weapons. End of the chapter. The letter is taken back by force, and Jennifer is injured. Main terms of Chapter 1. We're going to go over two things here. It's the term/group and the definition/description. First, the Wolfpack. Dominant high school clique led by Chris and Duran. The Syndicate. New underground group wearing blue rags, a potential threat to the Wolfpack. Andiron Universe. An alternate universe with opposite realities, accessible via astral projection. Gundam Battle Universe. A competitive video game central to Chris's identity and social status. Electroshocker, Smoke Bomb, Stun Shocker, and Solar Flash. Non-lethal weapons developed by Black for the Wolfpack's defense. Key insights. Chris's leadership and determination are central to the narrative, facing both social and supernatural challenges. Romantic dynamics drive much of the emotional tension, especially Chris's unrequited feelings for Tanya and growing bond with Anna. The social conflict between the Wolfpack and Tanya's group underscores themes of respect, rivalry, and loyalty within the high school microcosm. Supernatural hints. Uriah and the Andiron Universe suggest a larger, unexplored dimension to Chris's journey beyond everyday struggles. The impending war and strategic preparations highlight the escalation from personal to collective conflict. The Gundam tournament serves as both a literal and symbolic background for characters, ambitions, and rivalries. Conclusion. This chapter sets the stage for a multifaceted story, blending teen drama, fantasy, and competitive gaming, focusing on friendships, rivalries, and self-discovery amid growing threats, both mundane and extraordinary.